Hi, Dr. Jeremy James here with another quarantine video. Today we're going to work on mobility and balance specific to golf. And this is going to be more of a low intensity workout. This isn't about getting a fitness workout, but it's more about waking up the body, getting mobility, and working on some balance. So this is a great one to do before you do something else, especially play golf or exercise, lift weights, go for a hike, bike, whatever it is you do. Or this is great as a standalone workout if this is all you're going to do in the day. Still get some good blood flow going, get muscles working, and get some range of motion in those joints. So all we're going to need for today is a golf club, a mat or towel, and then I'm going to use a foam roller for one exercise. If you don't have a foam roller, I've got a rolled up blanket here. You can also roll up a beach towel. It's not going to be quite as good as a foam roller, but you'll still get a lot of the benefit. So we're going to start on the ground with dying bug, just to wake our core up and to get some mobility in the hips and shoulders. So dying bug, if you'll remember, we're maintaining neutral spine. And again, as I said in the other quarantine video, if you don't remember neutral spine, you need to go back and do some remedial work in the GolfForever program. So we're going to find our neutral spine, brace our core, arms and legs are in tabletop, and then bracing the core without the back moving, we're going to extend one leg and the opposite arm, and then do the same on the other side. Now my low back is not moving at all, and that's one of the main goals of this exercise and movement other than mobility, is to learn control of your core muscles and spinal stability so that we can protect our back as we load it. So right now in this position, it's a pretty heavy load because my legs and arms are extended on my lumbar spine. And if I wasn't bracing, that could cause some pain or injury, especially when done many times. We're just doing a few reps here, making sure to breathe. Okay, great. I think our core is woken up now. Now I'm going to do two versions of the bridge, a basic one and an advanced one, the tabletop bridge. Love the tabletop bridge because it gets me mobility in my shoulders and my hips. But for those of you who aren't ready, we can just stick to the normal bridge. We're going to find our neutral spine, brace the core. We're up on our heels, toes pulled towards our knees. And as always, we're hinging from the hips, not moving the core. So squeeze the buttocks, lift up, and hold. Now I'm going to go right into the tabletop bridge. And again, we're going to have our feet on our heels, shoulders back, stick out the chest, good posture. Come up. If you can make a flat position, great. If you can't, that's okay. We're going to hold about 5 seconds, breathing. Should feel the front of the arms and shoulders stretching and the glutes engaged. Back down. And notice we're still hinging at the hips, whether you're doing the bridge or tabletop bridge, we're hinging at the hips, keeping the back still. Let's try it again. Squeeze the core, chest up if you're doing the tabletop, up, hold. Feeling a lot of stretch in my biceps right now and the front of my shoulders. And down. Very good. Let's do just a few more. If you're doing the tabletop, chest out. If you're not, engage that core, squeeze the butt, lift up, hinge at the hips, hold. We are really turning on those muscles on our backsides, which are so important for a powerful swing. Back down. Let's do one more. Brace the core, shoulders out if you're doing tabletop, up, and down. Great. So next is where this foam roller is going to come in. Now I've got kind of a fancier one with a little divot here for my spine. It's a little more comfortable. You can get this in the link on our site, or if you don't have that, I've rolled up a blanket here, and I'll show you how to do it with this as well, or you can use a beach towel, something like that. Okay, so we're going to get into that upper back extension with the foam roller. So important for a healthy, full range of motion swing that doesn't hurt your low back. If we don't have motion in our upper back or our thoracic spine, you're going to compensate by over-rotating through the lumbar spine or low back, which causes a bad swing with inconsistent shots, but importantly, also causes low back pain. So I'm going to show with the foam roller first, and then I'll demonstrate with the towel or blanket. So I'm going to put the foam roller at the bottom of my rib cage, brace my core. Be very careful with this, especially if you have back pain. You do not want to put the foam roller at the bottom of your back, your lumbar spine. Stay above the rib cage. So I'm starting at the bottom of the rib cage. I'm just carefully and gently going to extend back. Now, if you can't go this far, that's okay. Ease into it. This one can be uncomfortable, but it is important, so just ease into it. And then after I do 1 or 2 reps, I'm scooting forward a little bit so that the foam roller moves up my back towards my head. And now I'm in my mid back between the bottom of my rib cage and my shoulders. And then I'm going to ease forward again and continue to repeat. Now, to me, this feels good, but I can remember when I first started this exercise after a lot of sitting working on the GolfForever program at my computer. When I would do these after sitting, it was very uncomfortable. So don't be surprised if it's uncomfortable, but just ease into it. I'm just going to show you with the towel real quick. It's not going to be as extreme or pronounced, but you're still going to get some benefit. So with the towel, ease back. And again, you can tell it's not quite as much, but I definitely am getting some extension in there. And if this is one that's really challenging for you, you might even want to start with this. Now, this is a relatively soft blanket. I would recommend getting maybe 2 towels, rolling them up together. So because I like that one so much, and it's one that we all need, I'm just going to do it one more time. So starting at the bottom of my rib cage, easing back, feeling a stretch in the tops of my arms, fronts of my shoulders, opening up my chest, and importantly, getting some mobility in that thoracic spine. You know, so many of us sit hunched forward over our devices or our computers all day, and we really need to take a minimum of a few minutes to reverse that process, and that's what this does. Okay, great. Now that's one I recommend you do quite a lot. Now, this next exercise, we're gonna get some range of motion in our hips. And this one is easy to mess up, so pay close attention. We're trying to get maximum range of motion in this plane. So I'm gonna start by making big circles forward and then big circles backwards. And the key to this is not to let your leg wobble up and down. We wanna stay in one horizontal plane. So I'm gonna brace my head like this. You can also lay down if that's more comfortable. Pull my knee in towards my body, push the foot out, and then sweep back to make a big circle. And you can notice right there that my leg wanted to start to rise, and I really have to pay attention. My core is braced. I'm not letting that leg wobble up and down, and I'll show you a bad example right now. This is what we want to avoid because we're trying to learn control of all the muscles that support the hip, because that is so important for a powerful swing. And if you're feeling tightness right here through the movement, when your leg is back, that means you got some tight hip flexors. Need to work a little bit on glute strength and hip flexor flexibility. All right, let's go the other way. So now I'm going to push back and then come forward. Bring my knee up towards my body. Push back through the heel. Now, this is a lot harder than it looks for most people. Push back through the heel. Working on that range of motion and mobility in the hip. And remember, mobility is different than flexibility in that flexibility just means how far you can take a muscle passively, like with a stretch. Mobility requires the ability of all the muscles to fire together in the right pattern with neurologic control. And that's why I'm saying don't let this go up and down. You want to focus on keeping it in that same horizontal plane. Let's try the other side. Okay, core is braced. I'm supporting my head. Let's go forward first. Push with that heel. Come on back. You're going to feel a stretch in that hip flexor. Don't let it wobble up and down. Knee up. Push out towards the heel. And back. And remember, if you're feeling some tightness right here, number one, squeeze your butt to pull the leg back. And number two, got to work on that glute strength and hip flexor flexibility. And right here, if you're having trouble straightening the leg out, and you're feeling like you can only do it with a bent knee, got to work on some hamstring flexibility. Okay, notice again that we're wanting to avoid this. Just kind of all over the place. Keep it in the same horizontal plane. And this feels really good once you get into this motion. I can feel the glutes working. I can feel that hip loosening up. Let's go the other way. I'm going to push back behind me, push through that heel, come forward with a straight leg, bend the knee up towards my chest, push back core engaged. And again, this is harder than it looks. I'm actually starting to do some work here. I can feel my core working, I can feel my glutes working, and I'm getting some good range of motion in that hip. The hip requires range of motion to get its nutrients. The nutrients to the hip joint are supplied by the hydraulic force you create when you move the hip. So literally, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't put the hip through its full range of motion, you can lose hip mobility, which ends up in a hip replacement. So these hip mobility things are no joke. Take them very seriously and do them consistently. Okay, I'm going to go down on my stomach now for I's and T's, and we're trying to wake up the muscles between and below the shoulder blades, and we want the upper trapezius, the muscles on top of our shoulders, relaxed. We end up like this so much throughout the day, puts a ton of strain on our neck, but also limits our range of motion in the shoulders for the backswing. So we're trying to activate the muscles that do this. So I'm going to lie face down, palms down. We're going to start with the eyes. So my core is braced. I'm pulling my shoulder blades down towards my back pockets. That's the first part of the movement and is crucial. Then I'm going to lift my arms up and hold, squeezing those shoulder blades down and back. Rest. Again, first part of the movement, pull the shoulder blades down and back, then lift the arms. Hold, breathe, core is engaged. Down. Now you should feel those muscles between and below the shoulder blades working, not on top. Shoulder blades down towards the back pockets, lift. Great, now let's do the T's. Arms are out to the side, and this one is more challenging to do with proper form because a lot of people tend to pull their shoulders up towards their ears, activating the upper trap. So again, shoulder blades down towards the back pockets, then lift. Hold. For a lot of you, this may be challenging. Relax, because you spend so much time on a computer or a phone or a tablet. Shoulders back and down, lift. Make sure you're breathing, core engaged. And down. Let's do one more. Shoulders back and down, lift. And down. Great. All right, let's come on up. And we're going to do one that we did in the last core and tone video, but I like to do this almost every day because it's so important for the golf swing. And that's this hands and knees upper back rotation. Now, if you can get into the position where you're sitting on your heels, tops of your feet on the mat like I am, that's best because it can help to limit the range of motion in your lumbar spine, which we're trying to limit. But if you can't and you have to stay up here, that's okay. You're still going to get a lot of benefit, okay? So one hand on the ground, one behind your neck. As you move the elbow up towards the ceiling, you follow with your eyes. And notice the movement is really happening from my rib cage up, stretching out my chest right here, opening up my shoulder. This is getting you ready for that swing so that you don't compensate by rotating too much through the low back. And again, for most of you, this may be challenging and you may not have this range of motion yet. Work at it slowly and you'll get there. All right, let's switch sides up towards the ceiling. And it's also very normal to notice asymmetry between these two sides. One side may be more difficult, and that's normal. Make sure you're breathing. Nice, slow range of motion. I'm holding a little bit at the top there. Great. Now let's just go back into child's pose to get a little bit of stretch in our low back. So I'm just going to lean forward, walk forward with my hands. You should feel a stretch in the lats here, which feels great. It's something that I definitely need. And also, then you can work towards sitting back and stretching out the low back a little bit. Now, if you know you have an active disc problem, probably want to avoid this one. Otherwise, for most people, this feels pretty good. And we're just breathing. And notice how I'm walking forward, my fingers, trying to maximize that stretch through the shoulder joint and getting a bit of a stretch in my lats. Okay, great. Let's come on up. All right, we're going to stand up now. Let's get our club. I'm going to put the club upside down, hold the club head. We're going to do a standing glute stretch with the club. And this is great for balance at the same time. So cross one leg over the other, perpendicular, sit back with good posture until you feel a great stretch in the back of the hip. It's also going to be working the glutes of the opposite side. Sit up tall, If you want to try it without the club, this is the way I like to do it. Even the challenge with my arms out in front. And you can see my foot's wobbling, but I'm still getting a great stretch, and I'm also working on my balance. All right, let's switch to the other side. I'm holding about 15 seconds, not getting super tied up on time there. Okay, leg perpendicular if you can. Sit back. You can notice this side's tighter on me, and you could probably tell in the video. Okay, I'm going to pull this up. Keep breathing. Good. Getting a nice stretch back here. And I'm feeling my other side glute really working. And I needed a little more on this side. So I'm really focusing on sitting back and getting down into it. Okay, come on back up. Great. We should feel things woken up by now. I certainly do. Let's now wake up the muscles in the glutes a little bit more. We should have just done that, but this is really going to focus on them. So all we're doing is called a hip extension. I'm going to show you multiple angles because the range isn't straight back or straight to the side. It's in between. It's at a 45-degree angle. I'm leading with my heel, and we're working on waking this up. So let's use the club as a balance aid. Take your thumb, hook it in the front part of this hip bone right here. You can feel. Lay your fingers back on your buttock, and that middle or fourth finger should be right on the muscle we're trying to wake up. Then we're going to extend out and back, tall posture, and you should feel that muscle under your finger tightening up and contracting as you make that movement. If you don't, stop, reset, try again. Let's do this 10, 15 times till we feel a good burn in the glute. And remember, we have to have all the right muscles firing and working together to have good mobility. So while it might not seem like it, this is actually a mobility exercise. Great, switch sides. Thumb, hook it in the front of the hip bone. Lay the fingers, there we go. Lay the fingers across the buttock, and that middle to fourth finger is going to be right where we're trying to feel this. So stand tall, good posture, brace your core, out and to the side. You should feel those muscles working under your fingers. If you do not, and especially if one side seems more difficult than the other, if you're feeling some pain or restriction, go to the pain relief section in your GolfForever app or web-based program and work on gluteal trigger point release. And then come back and try this, and 9 times out of 10, you will be amazed at the difference. Okay, great. Now we're going to do something a little more challenging. We're going to do a reverse lunge to knee raise. I'm going to give you 3 levels of difficulty. The easiest one is just to use the club as a balance aid. You can put some weight on here, drop back on the ball of your foot, and then raise your knee. The second level of difficulty is to use the club and start from a kneeling position, come up and raise the knee. Much more challenging. You've got to have good posture, good glute strength. Third level is to hold the club up here, and as you come up, push overhead and come back down. Okay? Choose the one you want to do. Shoulders back and down, cores engaged. Our glutes should be woken up now. If they're not, pause this video, go do the pain relief, trigger point release, and come back right here. Okay, ready? Let's go. Good tall posture. Push through the heel as you stand up. Bring the knee up to waist level and back down. I'm going to back up a bit here. Okay, good. Up. Push that knee up, back down. Shoulders back. I'm feeling my left glutes right now really working, especially in the beginning of this movement, pushing through this heel to initiate the movement. Shoulder mobility right now, hip mobility, working on our muscle firing patterns for both legs, working on our coordination and our balance. I mean, we are doing so much here for your golf game in this one exercise. The benefits are multiple and tremendous. Let's do a couple more and then we'll switch sides. One more, how about that? Good. Okay, same thing on the other side. And again, choose one of those 3 positions, either standing with club, kneeling with club, or here, pushing up. I'm going to do this one. So in this position, I'm going to start the movement by pushing off of my right heel, pushing through that heel to fire the glute, step up, press overhead. Back down, good posture. I'm never leaning forward. Shoulders back, up, press. Up, press. My ankle is wobbly, but that's okay because my posture is good. My lats are engaged, my core is engaged, and that's what keeps me stable. Again, we're working balance. We're working coordination. We're working hip and shoulder mobility. So much going on with this. A great movement. And if you started with the beginner or the intermediate version of this exercise, keep practicing. Even if you never move out of that version, you're still getting so much benefit. Okay, great. Let's sit the club down for a minute. Another great hip mobility exercise is the T-squat. So I want your feet perpendicular to each other. If you can see me there. I've got one foot going that way and the other towards you, the camera. And we're going to squat back, getting range of motion in our hips. Our foot positions don't change. And that feels great to me. I'm really opening up the hips, dropping my butt back. And notice I'm not leaning over forward too much. I'm not letting my knees come forward. Just maximizing the mobility in my hips. I like to put my arms out front as a counterbalance. Let's do a few more. Stop talking there a minute because this really does feel good to me. I love opening up the hips. My hips tend to get tight, whether it's golf, mountain biking, hiking, etc. All right, great. Let's switch sides. So again, foot position, perpendicular. I've got one going this way, one towards you. I'm just going to sit back, drop my butt back, feel that range of motion improving and those hips opening up. Breathe. I'm just sitting down there for a second or so, letting that stretch get in there. Very good. Pushing through the heels as I come up to activate the glutes. All right, a couple more. Let's do one for balance that's very challenging. We're going to grab you're definitely going to want your clubs here, whether you have good balance or not, just to start. So what we're going to do is a single leg balance, hi monkey, with our eyes closed. Now this is more challenging than you would think. So I want you to have this here in the beginning so you don't fall, or you can hang onto a wall. And then when you get used to it, if you feel good, you can remove the club. So let's bring a leg up, shoulders back, and then let's close our eyes. I'm lifting the club up, and this is very challenging. We're going to hold 10, 15 seconds. And if you peek at me right now, you'll see that I am really wobbly without the aid of the club. Okay, great. Let's try the other side. Put your club down, lift your leg up, shoulders back and down, good posture, close your eyes. What's happening when we close our eyes is we're taking away one of our three systems that give us balance. Those are the visual, the vestibular, and the proprioceptive systems. We're removing the one we rely on quite a bit, which is the visual system. We use that so much for balance, and that simple exercise shows you how much we rely on it. Doing balance routines with your eyes closed trains the vestibular system in your ears and the proprioceptive system. Those are the cells in our extremities that tells our brain where our extremities are in space when we're not looking. So it's important every once in a while to remove the visual system. And that could be especially important for things like getting up and going to the bathroom in the middle of the night when the lights are off. You would be surprised at the statistics of people that get injured that way. And this helps you work on balance when you're in the dark, which is crucial. And it also makes you more likely to get better at balance for the golf swing. Okay, let's do one more. Let's end it with a stretch, and that's the standing heel to buttock stretch. Another challenging stretch and balance activity. And remember, I always like to try to be efficient with my workouts and combine multiple things into one. So this is going to combine balance and stretching. I'll show you two sides. Posture tall, grab right on the top of your foot if you can, and then lean forward until you feel a good stretch in the quad or the thigh. Keep going. I'm going to show the side view. And you should be at least a straight line. This is one I need to work on more. I've got tight quads right now because I've been doing a lot of biking. Golf courses open here this week. Ideally, you'd be a little bit more flexible than I am in this left quad. Okay, let's switch sides. And I'm going to work on this a little more when this video is over. Okay, I'm leaning forward until I feel a good stretch in that quad. And I'm breathing, working on my balance. Well done. Okay, so that was a simple, low intensity mobility and balance routine that you can do as a standalone or before you play or before you work out. I feel so much more in tune with my body now, engaged. I feel like I can move with confidence, which is, as we all know, so important on the golf course. So do these sorts of things on a regular basis, and you'll be shocked at how much you improve and how much your game improves. Until next time, thanks for watching.